Hello, just give us a like, a share, just let us know if you can see us okay. I think we are live now. Just checking if we've actually gone live. It's a bit slow StreamYard. It's like takes a few seconds to go live. There's nobody on at the minute. There we go. I think we're live now. Good afternoon, everybody. So, what do you say?
There's always that whole dance when you go on StreamYard. Is it on YouTube? Is it on Facebook? Yeah. It's always that little dance, isn't
it? Phil's joined us. Afternoon to you. Yep, just give us a like, a share, just push the notification to people to let us know that we are live. So this afternoon, I'm joined by Jonny. I think you've been on. Was it once before?
It's like the fifth time, I think.
Fifth time. It's been on with me once before. Yeah.
I've been once with you before, but Natalie, I think 3 or 4 times. So it's been quite a lot now. So hopefully a regular face, people recognize me. Although I'm looking sort of a bit like a traveller now, with the beard and the slightly longer hair. Already. And the classic black tea. Yeah.
We're going to be discussing the nomad lifestyle because you're embracing that at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah. It's
totally.
It's fun. It's good. We'll discuss that later. It's a lot to go to, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. So we've got a few people on. Ben's joined us. Stuart's joined us from Southsea. I was near you last week actually on my RA trip, so I wasn't too far from Portsmouth, although I didn't actually stop because I didn't get a chance. But that's pretty near you guys. Debbie's joined us on YouTube. Hi to you. Guys, if you just give us a comment, just let us know if you can see and hear us okay. Just give a few seconds, just let everybody jump on as well, so that everybody's alive. Natalie's joined us. Hi. Natalie's not with us today because she's not very well, so that's why it's me and Jonny as the stand-ins today. So someone's asked, do I shop in Essex? I do shop in Essex actually, but it's a bit out of the way for me because it's like you have to get to London and then I have to get around London to get to Essex. So it's quite a long way for me. So I don't really tend to do Essex per se. Are you into the RA at all, Jonny, or are you strictly OA?
Strictly OA and wholesale. I did RA when I first started, just to get sort of used to it. I'd probably do it if I was back in the UK and sort of understood it more. I think obviously now people like yourselves are sort of teaching a bit more about RA. It does help. Before, I got suspended, so I didn't really know what I was doing 3 years ago. I think I've told this story every time, but I bought a walkie-talkie from Home Bargains, didn't get a proper receipt, got suspended. So, but there was never really it's good to sort of, people weren't really teaching it properly before, I don't think. I think they were always just sort of, they were never caring more about the authenticity and sort of account health. And there's no one really around back in the day who actually taught it properly. It was more just go scan this and sell it. It was never like a sort of also keep your account safe. And yourself, obviously, you've got staff and people, mouths to feed. So it's good that people like yourself are around.
Yeah, because it's very much, I think there's a lot of fakeness out there of, just go into Tesco's and scan stuff and then you'll make money. And it's not like that at all. It's very, I know the guys who are on the first RA course will know it's very much, you've got to build relationships with suppliers. You've got to go at certain times, and you can't just walk into Tesco's and expect to find deals because it doesn't work like that. There's certain times that there's good deals and certain times that there's not so many good deals. Like now is a particularly good time of year for deals, but come September, October, that's not a great time for deals because what's the retailer's incentive to clear? There's a lot of mindset around understanding how retailers operate. So there's a lot that goes into it to do it successfully. It's not just the case of, I'm going to go into Tesco, scan 5 things, and then one of them will make money. It's just not quite as simple as that. And if you are doing that, you're probably wasting a lot of your time trying to do that as well.
There used to be a lot of car boot sales, but then people were selling new on Amazon, right? So people were going to car boot sales and buying random stuff and then selling new on Amazon. You could make a lot of money in a quick, short amount of time doing that. But obviously, it's like a very high risk. All right, let's flip some money for a few months. Hopefully, they don't get suspended, but you could make a bit of money. So I know that was something that this guy in property used to make videos on. It's like Taylor Entrepreneur, Paul Taylor. I don't know if anyone's ever watched him, but I used to know him from back in the property days. He got into Amazon and started going to all these like car boots like every weekend, and then flipping them on Amazon as new, which is pretty bad. But it seems a bit dodgy.
I mean, I did that in the very beginning. I don't think I'd do it now because my business is at such a size I wouldn't take a risk like that. But there was, I mean, I think the thing is if something is factory sealed and has never been opened, the customer's going to perceive it as new. It's probably okay. It's more about what the customer. If you've got stuff that's open and you're trying to sell it as new, obviously that's just like opening a whole can of worms. And of course, the problem with sourcing from car boot sales is you get no paper trail at all. At least with a retailer, you get a receipt, which is perhaps not as good as it could be, but there's more to a receipt than just I bought it off Joe Blogs for cash at the car boot sale. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. But I think you can also get wholesalers though for car boots, can't you? You can get good supply contacts, so you can actually get the receipts that way. So I've heard people actually going to car boots, meeting the suppliers, and then actually getting the legitimate contacts. So I don't know if you've talked about that before, but it's something that's not really talked about much, but I've heard that before.
No, I don't know why. I think car boots is fantastic. It's a very, very raw form of business. It's a very low cost form of business, and I think that you make a lot of contacts, whether it's to sell to or buy from. And that's the thing. When I go to car boot sale, I usually come away with either people I'm going to buy from or people I'm going to sell to. And of course, I think when we're in the e-com world, of course, we are very much promoting e-commerce, but there is another world that's not e-commerce. And I think it's very easy to forget that, yes, just because you bought something, it doesn't necessarily have to be sold, not just on Amazon or eBay, but even online at all. And it could be done in a face-to-face transaction, whether that be through Facebook or something else, and it's not very sensible really to kind of ignore those revenue streams, because it can be really good outlets for your sticky stock, stuff that's not selling very well, or stuff where the prices have tanked and things like that.
Yeah, it's that sort of hustle, isn't it? It's actually something that I wish I kind of had a bit more of. I accidentally, I have a few sort of worldwide suppliers, and I accidentally bought some, one of my VAs accidentally bought some alcohol, and I just had these like expensive alcohol, little bottles, it's actually a Korean brand, just sitting around the warehouse in my office for about 6 months. And because I just didn't have I tried selling them, but it was just like the odd box, right? It was like the odd box, here you go, sort of thing. But I didn't have the finesse to sort of like, I guess, go car boot and actually sell the alcoholic products. I guess I could have just WhatsApp mates or something like that for a bit of better idea.
You could have had a massive warehouse party, warehouse project, just like get a DJ up there, free alcohol.
Yeah, it's annoying actually, because like every time like a friend would host something, I'll just forget it. It's just it's classic me.
That's funny. It's funny actually. Go back to you obviously remember 2020 when everybody was in lockdown and all the COVID. We were having discussions because obviously at the time we weren't in lockdown, but we were a bit like, oh well, probably everything's going to be shut. So should we just have like New Year's Eve in the warehouse and get a DJ booth set up and stuff? But in the end, they locked us all down, so we never actually got to have a big party in the warehouse. But yeah, we were considering it quite seriously at the time.
I know, like Fred, we've Prep FBA. I don't know if you've seen any of his pictures, but they seem to be constantly having parties at the warehouse. I'm a little bit jealous. I think they created like a pool outside their warehouse, and they were having like drinks around it, having like a DJ outside. And that's just me, like thinking, "Oh God, am I a bad boss? Like, do I need to?"
you do, don't you? It's funny that. Guys, let us know in the comments. If you've got warehouses, have you ever done anything that's particularly good for your staff, or you've had a boss that's done stuff like this before? I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because you kind of feel like if you're not you've gone really dark. You're back now.
Yes, I'm back. Yeah.
It's interesting because if you're not, you see all this on Facebook and you kind of think, oh, am I a bad boss because we're not having parties and stuff like that, pool parties? Natalie says just a prep center pool party. That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, I turned down like a sort of Wetherspoons-esque pub actually just before I left, and just bought a few drinks and stuff like that. And I was trying to encourage that sort of thing, like bowling. And I generally think that's actually really good. It did actually bring everyone sort of kind of closer together. Kind of brings you up. Just during work, you don't really ever. I get, apart from with the manager, you don't really connect. I don't connect like on a sort of. Well, you do, but like it's not the same as having a drink or something.
Yeah.
So, it works.
No, I totally agree. Actually, it's really weird. Actually, I I think it's one of the things that's been lost with working from home is that kind of social element. That's why I'm not really a fan of working from home. I can see the benefits of working from home in certain elements, but I think you lose that team spirit and that going out together, and I think that's really, really important part of a good workplace.
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that, but like today was a pretty busy day. Like everything just sort of going off today, and not going off, but like just a lot to do. And my girlfriend was also working all day, so we're just sort of in our apartment all day. And she was just like, "Oh, this reminds me of being back in the UK again, where we're just sort of like it's stuck at home." So you could be in sort of Chiang Mai in Thailand, which is like, I guess like the traveler's spot in the world, right? Because it's like really geared towards travelers because it's cheap, easy to get to. It's Thailand, everyone like knows about it. But even here, that she's like, "Oh, it feels like I'm back in Bedford." It's like, okay. So you do get that when you stick to the same place, and like it's really, really important just to get out. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to bring the conversation actually back to what the kind of topic of discussion is today, because for anyone who doesn't know, just tell us a bit about where you are and what you've been doing. So because you've been living quite the lifestyle, haven't you, for the past few months?
Yeah. So like, it's good, really good. The first like 3 weeks, I was here on my own in Phuket, and I was working and training as well. Then I unfortunately got a rotator cuff injury, so I got like tendonitis in my rotator cuff, so that was really painful. I didn't actually get like an injection until like last week, when then it fixed it. So go see the hospital, go see the doctor earlier. That's a lesson from that. So I just like, it's going to get better. It's fine. But eventually I went to the hospitals, which are really good in Chiang Mai. It's like 60 quid. You're in there an hour and like half an hour. Got a cortisone shot, and then a few days later I'm fine. But yeah, it was good. I went to Phuket, and I was in a week in Bangkok, where my missus joined me. That's actually where traveling changes a lot. Because traveling on your own is so easy, right? If you have your own room, because you can basically set up in your room like an office, and it's super easy. But as soon as you have someone else in the room, then you've got to think about, okay, like how do we have calls? How do we have 2 tables and all that? So that it really adds complications. So I was like in about 9 days in Bangkok, where it's just like hot, stuffy, bad shoulder. Workspaces close at 6 p.m., which is lunchtime UK. So a bit annoying. And then I went to the Maldives for 5 nights. And I think I did post about that, but yeah, again, I don't know if you want to talk about that further. If you want to come back to that.
Yeah, we'll come back to that because you paid for points, so we'll have a bit of a discussion about that, because I think a lot of people are interested in the benefits of the points.
Yeah, and then we now in Chiang Mai for a month, and Chiang Mai is like I'm in an apartment block, sort of on the 7th floor now. It's got a pool, sauna. We've got a big apartment where we've got 2 desks and nice comfy bed, and it's about $750 a month, right, on Airbnb. And you can probably get that cheaper if you get like a free 6-month contract. But that's just to give you an idea. You can go get food for like £1-2. Like it's just really cheap, and you really understand the appeal of being away, because you can there's a lot of people who actually retire here because it's so cheap, and it's just if you can stand the heat, it's really nice and beautiful, and drive a scooter around. It's really, really great. But yeah, I mean, it's good. Like, to be honest, it doesn't make much of a difference to my business. To be honest, it hasn't actually, apart from like the Maldives trips, obviously being on holiday, then it doesn't make too much of a difference, because I have a team at home who are just sort of sorting out the physical side and the practical side of the warehouse, who are doing the pick, packing, managing. Obviously, that comes with a premium, right? Because you're going to pay for managers, stock controllers, and all that sort of thing, and have a warehouse team. That means I can travel freely, and it's all good. Yeah, so it's fine. It's really made no difference to businesses. It's probably improved it somewhat, because I'm a bit more happier, I think.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because I did something similar last year, because we sold our house, and we have a place in Anglesey in North Wales, and we moved there for 2 months, and I actually think the business ran better when I wasn't in it, because I think you look at it more objectively. You can see all the skill gaps. You really kind of analyze your time better and see what you're really good at and what you're not good at. And actually, sometimes I think, particularly when you're growing, you've got a very small team, or perhaps you're a solo entrepreneur. It's very easy to take a lot of things on yourself, isn't it? And I'm sure you did the same. And the only way really to grow is to kind of just let go of that and delegate that out and build systems and processes. Because once you do that, because I know you're also a master at building systems, you can then replicate and scale that much more easily, and you have you have much less stress in your life because the business is running nicely within its systems, and also it's much easier to grow and scale it.
Yeah, I've really realized that actually. For those who don't know, I started a German company a few months back, and we finally started sending pallets out there in the last few weeks. And it's like starting again, right? Like, I haven't migrated my software yet to the German business yet, but I'm sort of starting again from like Google Sheets and like little software like, SDK and Sellerboard and stuff like that, the smaller software. And it's just like you don't realize how much more work there is to do when you're using these sort of software that's not retro built for, wholesale really. So like, stuff like purchase orders and creating purchase orders and, even creating listings, everything just takes a lot longer. Nothing's like automatic, nothing's streamlined. So it's all like slow. Everything's just kind of like clunky. But once you have those processes in place, it just makes everything so easy. So I've really figured that out, that like once you built your systems and really streamlined everything in your business, it does come easy. Like not easy, but the stuff that was difficult before, where it comes easy, like creating shipments and not having to worry about listings or anything like that, or purchase orders or paying for orders or anything really, sort of systems and stuff are covered for me now. So I forgot your question, but I just went on a little tangent. But
it's basically you could, it's very. I think actually when you remove yourself from the business, I think you run a better business. I think that's where I think that's where people struggle. Is they struggle. They don't take on. They want to take on staff and they want to grow the business, but then they don't have the systems. So then what they find is they're spending more time looking after the staff, and rather than being able to free up their time as they intended, and they add more costs on, and then they go, well, I've actually just paid this person, and I've got to spend more time babysitting them, and then they end up getting busier and more stressed, and then they end up like getting rid of the staff member because the staff member isn't performing as they wanted. But it all comes down to the systems, because the system needs to be in place first. And I say once you have that system, it's so much easier to just grow and replicate, because people can train other people within the system, and it just makes it a lot easier to build and manage the business.
Yeah, I think if you just take out, sounds bad, but if you take out thinking from the, so the warehouse don't really have to think like, oh, how many should we send to Amazon? Like they don't have to think like, oh, should we send 12? Should we send 14? Because it's all there in their face, right? And all they have to do is just click a button, and they can add that to a shipment. They can create a shipment. They can add shipments, modify shipments. They know exactly how to send it off. They know how to send it to Germany now. So there's no like, hey, Johnny, what are we doing with this? Because there's a system, right? We create purchase orders, and then go into, an ASN, so an advanced shipping notice. And then from there, the warehouse team can then look at what came in and look what needs to get added to an FBA shipment, what needs to go on the shelves. And it's just all right in front of their face. So it's kind of hard for them to sort of, what do we do? It's just robotic almost. It's streamlined. So, but that's it, like with business, right? I think like if anyone who's getting to this point now, I mean, it takes 2-3 years to get there, where you've got everything, every process just sort of streamlined.
It does take a long time. It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, I mean, like it's also like different ways of streamlining it, right? With it could be with like a prep center. I know of like Tom Parkinson, I always bring him up, but he's got sort of streamlined software that works with the prep center. So I don't know if it's with Google Sheets or whatever, but for him, everything is just streamlined. So he doesn't have to do anything. He just looks at an overview report every week. So yeah. So it makes, I guess he's a classic digital nomad, right? He is the digital nomad. I'm an amateur digital nomad. I can't even like it's just super dog. But I blame my missus. Definitely. If you do this, get everything in place, get your systems in place, work your ass off from a year to 2 years, then I think it's the same with any business, right? Really, I think it's like a modern way of doing things.
I think so. I think it's what a lot of people want, isn't it? I think particularly after COVID, a lot of people want to. Oh, are you back? You're back. You just jumped out there. A lot of people want to travel and kind of. I think people since COVID particularly are desperately trying to fulfill their life ambitions and travel and go and see places, because I think people realize life is short and that actually that's what they really want to do and that's what they really value is experiences and not buying stuff and buying new cars and big houses doesn't give them fulfillment, but traveling and experiences really does, and doing that in a way. But the difficulty, of course, is doing it in a sustainable way, because obviously everyone can probably go away for 1 week, 2 weeks, but to be able to go away for 2 or 3 months, you have to have some sort of business to support you. And I would think it's probably very difficult to find many jobs where you will be able to truly be a digital nomad, apart from running your own business, really.
Half the people in co-working spaces are software developers, because I walk past the laptops and they all have Visual Studio Code on their laptops, so they're all doing codings, and so a majority of them are more some sort of like marketing or stuff like that. My missus has got it pretty good as well, but she needs to go back to Europe because she's got like a sort of leadership meeting in Berlin, so she's going back on the 1st. So yeah, I'm actually back in England for a few months, and I'm going to go probably somewhere in Europe for a few months or something. Maybe Athens or Turkey or something like that.
Nice.
We'll see. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult to get to this stage. But I think the Amazon business, the e-commerce world, is completely geared up for traveling, because if I don't know if you want to caveat to the moldy sort of thing, but it's just the points as well, right? It's the amount you're spending and the way you can use that. So yeah, I don't know if you want to.
Definitely. I'm just going to jump to a few of the comments, and if people have asked a few questions, and then we'll discuss the points, because I know we're both very big advocates of points for travel. So I know, the comments aren't working on my phone today. They're really behind, so apologies if I miss any comments. I know Donna's joined us. Hayden's joined us, and he says it's very dark, looking like the Emperor from Star Wars, overseeing your empire while you're in Thailand.
That's what I'm going for. Yeah.
Natalie says she always used to have a big Christmas party before COVID. Never ended well. Yeah, we used to have a few big Christmas parties before COVID, but it all went away. Hopefully this year we'll be able to get back to it. I've got a comment here. I'm not sure who it's from because it just says Facebook user, unfortunately. But it says, have either of you guys read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Currently trying to get to grips with what he calls the quadrant 2 thinking. Important but not urgent. I personally haven't read that. Have you read that, Jonny?
No, I haven't read it, but I've heard a lot about it. I've heard people
pop that up on screen.
Look at that.
Look at that. I see. The problem is, it just says for me, it says Facebook user, and the comments aren't working on my phone. So apologies, whoever that is. I don't know who you are, but good question.
I'm just going to Google quadrant 2 thinking. Quadrant 1 activities are urgent and important. Quadrant 2 are not urgent but important. Okay.
You're going to be all over that, aren't you? Yeah. It's not something I've read, but it definitely sounds like some reading homework. One of the best books I read was called Traction. Thanks. The question was from Nick. So one of the best books I read is called Traction. Very similar sort of concepts, all about systemization. I imagine it's very kind of similar kind of thing. So he says, I've read it. It's just a case of categorizing things that you're not wasting time on urgent but not important things. Yeah, that's a very, very good thing to do, because I think this is the thing. Actually, when you remove yourself from the business, actually, you're much able to manage your time better, because you're not kind of. I find when I'm in the warehouse, I tend to just kind of pick up on things and waste a lot of time. These things are important, but they're not urgent. Like he says, I'll go around and go, oh, why is this in this place? Or what's happening with this piece of stock? Why has this not been sorted? And you kind of just waste time doing lots of things that aren't really, really important. And you know that there's a process there and they will eventually be picked up, but you kind of just waste your time. Whereas when you remove yourself, you don't do that. Do you find the same?
I do that. I use a tool called like Reply Code. And we have like automated messages on weekends, right? We're closed.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's actually I sometimes sort of go on it and like reply and say, hey, how's it going? Like I just try and do a bit of customer service, but I don't need to do that, right? There's a system in place that says we're closed. So I can just shut off and forget about it. Sometimes I just go into like little things like that and just sort of respond to someone when I have someone who does that for me. So I do little things like that, stupid stuff like that. Really, I think like the best way I always think about things is like if I'm doing a task, I always just ask myself why I'm doing that task and can I automate it? Can I delegate it? And sometimes a lot of the tasks, I try and do tasks that I want to do, if that makes sense. Like, but it's not really work. So stuff like coding for me, it's like I'm working on the business, I'm coding for the business that will help the business. It's not the best use of my time, but it's actually something I enjoy. So it's actually more sort of, and that's the good thing about actually getting to the point, the position we're in now is like, I get the opportunity to be able to work on the cool stuff in the business that I want to work on, right? Which is not it's not going to be the most effective, but I have that chance now because everything else is sort of systemized out. Every time I'm doing something, whether it is emails, sending purchase orders, I always think, well, why am I doing this? And then soon I'll just sort of either code it or delegate, right? So every single time, and I think I've always go on about this actually every time I'm on here, but it's quite simple as like, just even like just building your own scraper. Like I was last night, like I've been sourcing for my German online arbitrage business, and I'm not the sort of person who's just going to go source on shops and stuff like that. So last night I built a web scraper for cocooncenter.de. So I pulled all the EANs from all the store, all the prices. And I was like, okay, cool, I've done that now. So like rather than just going through it, I think of a way so it's repeatable, right? So now I've got a scraper for Cocoon Center that I can always scrape sort of every month and get all the barcodes, and then I can plug that into Keeper. So that's the way I would do it. It's like I'd always work on the process rather than the actual action. That's always the best way, I think. It's just like, for me, that's how I like it. It's like, I would work on a better way of sourcing rather than doing the sourcing. Yeah. How do I optimize sourcing?
I get you. Yeah. You know what they say? They say, don't they? If you a complicated task should be given to a lazy person because they'll always find the simplest way of doing it. So whereas a hardworking person would perhaps go through every single EAN and spend 7 hours doing it, a lazy person is always going to look for a shortcut, which in actual fact can actually be, like you say, creating a scraper would be very beneficial to the business as a whole. So, sometimes do you consider yourself to be lazy? Because I kind of do, but I don't. It's not lazy in a can't be bothered way, but I always try and find ways to speed things up and any kind of way to make it easier, I guess.
I mean, the best way to fix laziness is to put yourself up for an event. Say like sign yourself up for like Tough Mudder, or sign yourself up for a marathon, or sign yourself up for a boxing fight. What you should do, like I always find that's the best for laziness, is you force yourself, okay, you know what, in 3 months, I'm going to have a boxing fight. I'm going to fight at 77 kg. I'm 95 kg now. So if I sign myself up to a fight, I will lose that weight. And I know it's not sort of long term, but I really like that sort of thing where I'll set a goal, I'll force myself to do something where I know I have to be at a certain weight, or I know I have to be at a certain fitness level, and I'll do that. And it's the same with traveling, right? It's like, I set myself a date, and that was when my lease ended for the flat, that I'd be fully weight to get out. I could completely walk out the warehouse and have to walk back in. Like technically, I don't have to walk in there as long as the staff stay the same. Like if the staff suddenly exits, all of them walk out, I have to go back in. But technically, I don't actually have to go in there and pack a box ever again.
Yeah.
Right? Unless everything breaks down and falls apart. So that was my goal. I set the task, I've already booked the ticket. So yeah, it's actually the same with like booking tickets. Like I booked my ticket to Bangkok. My girlfriend was like, "Oh, you just booked it?" I was like, "Yeah." I just like, "Yeah, I booked it." And then that's it. That's it. That's the goal. It's not changing now. It's booked and you're off. So you don't hesitate. So I think the best way for me is this goal setting, isn't it? Really, in sort of basic terms, goal setting. Forcing yourself to sign yourself to tasks, putting yourself up for a marathon or Tough Mudder or something like that, or cycle or Land's End to John O'Groats. I think that's something that keeps you going, keeps you fulfilled, keeps you happy as well. if you don't have goals in mind or tasks or targets in mind, you'll just get bored, right?
Yeah,
I find that so much. If I don't have a goal or target, things get really boring because it's just yeah.
It's too easy, isn't it? Because it's just when you automate it, you always want to push it and grow, because otherwise it's just boring, isn't it? And I don't know if that's just my kind of mindset as the entrepreneur. I always want things to be better and bigger and more, and you're always kind of chasing, aren't you? Well, but I guess there's a point where when is enough enough? I don't think I've reached that point yet, but will there be a point? I don't know.
Well, I asked myself that with could I ever sort of settle in one place and just sort of live in the suburbs, get a nice house, get a nice Tesla, and then just sort of chill. And for me, I'm just the thought of that is just okay, but then what's next? So that's why I like sort of renting. I think for the last few years I've liked renting. I like that sort of flexibility. So because it's just freedom, isn't it? Really, it's just that option to be able to leave and to do things. But yeah, definitely the best way to get out of the funk is to sign yourself up for a marathon or half marathon or something.
I agree. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Why is he in
just
the dark?
I'm just gonna jump back to some comments. Yeah. I think it's Nick again said, but back to the book. He said, important can mean for the business, for your sanity, your life. You get to decide what important means, and that's true. You see, you've got to remember that you've got to set goals personally as well as in business, because you've got to be satisfied personally as well as just satisfied in your business. And if both parts of your life aren't performing, then neither part of your life is performing in my eyes.
Oh, absolutely. It's hard as well with these businesses, especially at the beginning, you're working so hard, and it's hard to actually pay good attention to your personal life and your health as well. You start working 60 hours a day, you're not going to really eat the best because you don't have time to sort of cook, right? So you're just getting takeaways. And what is there a healthy takeaway option? Not really anymore, because funny thing, McDonald's took away all grilled options during the pandemic. So from McDonald's, you can't actually get a grilled chicken wrap anymore because they just won't sell it.
I think that they're back now. They're back.
What?
They're back. Yeah,
that's why I left the UK.
You can get a grilled
chicken.
Really? They're back.
Can you? Yeah. Okay, because I know at the start of
COVID... Johnny will be on the next plane back for McDonald's grilled wraps.
Yeah. Because I know during COVID they stopped them, which
they did. I think it's only been a month or two they've been back. Yeah, probably since you left. But yeah, they are definitely back.
Strange. So that's what I mean. I was going to say there's not many healthy options that you go get grilled chicken wrap, right? But I guess there is now. McDonald's is a bit cheap because the other thing about the UK is just eating out is ridiculous, isn't it? I remember I went for pizza. Got 2 beers and 2 pizzas and it was 60 quid. I was like, what?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So how do you actually, unless you sort of...
But then it's not the same in Europe though. If you go to most places outside, we recently went to Spain. We ordered a paella for 4 people, 4 drinks and desserts, and it was €25 each, for
so
two or 3 course meal with wine or a beer. And yet here you'd be looking at £8 for just the beer, and then probably £20 for a main course. This is €25, not £25. So you're looking about £21, £22. So and you couldn't even get a main course in the UK for that price. Never mind a complete 3-course meal with a drink.
Yeah, absolutely. It was going pretty nuts actually. Even in London, which I'm close to, it's just going crazy. And I'm the sort of person that would like to eat sort of away from the house every day. So I'd like to go out for lunch. Get a quick bite. You just can't really do that. Even if you go to Nando's, you're going to pay 16 quid for a whole chicken. So see, I'm an entrepreneur. I do all right money wise, but it's still I'm still a bit tight when it comes to going.
You're like me. You like making money so you can spend it on food. That's my life goal.
That's actually it. I've said that the only things I want to spend money on is good steaks. I like steak, so buying a nice sort of imported Wagyu steak. That's sort of and having that on a sort of daily basis is my goal, right? My goal isn't really the Lamborghini or the Aston Martin. It's more, I want a Wagyu steak every day. That's my goal.
Yeah. Right, I've got a couple of comments. So someone said, can you clarify scraping for a website?
Yeah, sure. So you're basically just using a programming language like Python. You're looking through their sort of source code. So if you go on any website and you click view code or inspect the element with the inspector tool of Chrome, you'll see a bunch of code, right? And there's different software languages where you can run a script and you can pick up the data. And what the scrapers can do is they can go through all the different pages and they can pick up all the different data points that you want that will be able to reverse search onto Amazon. The best one is that you can pick up barcodes, which you'll see commonly on like FBA Wizard. FBA Wizard's not around, but where the big ones, Tactical Arbitrage and RB Source, which looks pretty cool as well. Which you reverse search by the UPC or EAN, which is usually gets a better result. The other one is obviously reverse search with images, where you would basically grab all the images from a website and then do a sort of reverse image search with by script, and then that's not as accurate, but you can sometimes get some matches that way as well. But that will get better with time because there is some really good technology out there who can really look at each image and pick up the listings that are linked to it. So yeah, it's basically that. You scrape information and then you search on Amazon and you compare the prices, do the prices work. There's lots of them out there, but I like building myself because it's mine, and I'm pretty sure scrapers won't have all the data from all the websites. Maybe they do actually, and maybe I'm missing out. I've just wasted my time, but it's fun. I enjoy it. Right? Again, like it's not actually that crazy for my business. I might buy like one or two deals, which makes me. There's a few listings, but it's more for me. It's the enjoyment, right? So, rather than sort of potentially watching a film or watching like a Netflix series, I'll probably do some coding. And it sounds sad, but I just really enjoy it.
That's what you're into, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm really into sport and I'm into coding. So it's like two opposite things, right? Sport and coding. Yeah. Yeah.
So I've got a question. Why are you in the dark? What time is it over there? That's why you're in the dark.
It's half 7, but the reason I'm in the dark is we go back to the traveling thing, where the problem with traveling, not problem, I'm phrasing the thing. When you're traveling with a partner, you usually share a bedroom. You usually work out your bedroom a lot. We've got 2 nice desks, but she's on a sales call right now, and I think the client paid thousands of pounds or something, so I don't want to go in there and she sort of hit me in the background. And I also, when I wear these Bose headsets, I always shout as well. So
yeah, I have a pair of them. You don't realize how good the noise cancelling is, and you end up shouting, don't you?
Yeah, so we played around with like noise guards and stuff like that, but I think we need to get like a proper microphone so it actually blocks it out. But that's one consideration if you're going to travel is because if you're in Thailand or Asia, the working spaces there are some 24/7 ones, but if you're not a member, then they usually close at like 6, and now it's 7:30, and usually at like at night you probably want to be back at the room anyway. So she's inside on a sales call, I'm outside on the balcony. There is a light, but it's just not very good. I can somewhat, and yeah, I mean, it's all bad. Yeah. So that was the first plane note, wasn't it? So
that's so good.
Yeah.
So there you go. He's living the real nomad lifestyle for real.
and to give me, and in all fairness, it was a last minute guest, so I was sort of, it wasn't like a pre-planned thing. So otherwise I would have. It was like a last minute. Okay, what do we do? Okay, I'm gonna go on the balcony, and it's actually quite nice. But you just can't see me.
Yeah. I think most people say they listen to us anyway, so I wouldn't worry too much. We've got another question. Is electricity bills high over there? Meant to be cheap in Asia? I suppose. Would you really know because you're in an Airbnb?
I have no idea. But
no idea.
The cable system in Thailand is the worst thing about Thailand. If anyone's ever been to Thailand, all the cables are overground, all the electricity cables. So when you're walking on the street, all the cables are above, right, and they're not underground. So they're really, really bad cables. but I imagine it's cheap. Everything's still pretty cheap here. Um, yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I drive around in a scooter as well, which is also ridiculously cheap.
Do you?
So, yeah. I realized that, yeah, the bike.
Don't think that'd appeal to me.
Really, it's surprising. It's really really fun actually, and because the country's really used to people driving in bikes, it's probably safer than the UK. If it was like a full out motorway like the A1 or M1, then I probably wouldn't do it. But because it's sort of around the town and stuff like that, it's not too bad. But it's actually one of my favorite things about being in Southeast Asia is riding a scooter. I just like the freedom of it. You can just sort of get your scooter. Our lift goes down to the basement, get on the scooter, go like sort of 10 minutes down the road, get off quickly and come back on. Just saw another question. If you see that.
There's some crazy questions. Do you eat snakes or any other crazy animals? Go on, let's talk a bit about your travel then, because I know a lot of people have wanted to hear about how you paid for it. Of course, I know you've got your business to support you, but you pay a lot of it through points as well, don't you?
Yeah. So, anything that's sort of like, I guess, premium, like the Maldives, obviously, is as premium as you can get. We spent 5 nights and an actual sort of, dollar pound worth. We spent like under $1,000, right, for 5 nights, and it's pretty ridiculous because we stayed in a overwater villa which had like its own pool and steps down to the sea where you can do snorkeling, like at a massive terrace, and the room was pretty big and it's incredible. So what you can do at points is with the Radisson Blue Hotel, there's a 3-to-1 conversion. So if you ever find like a Radisson Blue in like an exotic place or a cool place you want to go to, it makes real sense to convert to Radisson Blue, especially if you have a family, right? Maybe you have like, there's 2 of you and like a little kid or something like that. That'd be like perfect, right? Rather than spending on flights, and get a hotel room, because then your partner can enjoy, unless you obviously have the companion vouchers. But yeah, it works really well because usually this would cost like £500 to £600 a night for this overnight water villa, but actually only costs 25,000 Amex points, which is £25,000 spent. So you're basically getting like 2.3, 2.4% cash back for you, and so it makes more sense to enjoy yourself tax free, kind of. Enjoy yourself tax free, and enjoy the your labor, the race of your labor, the fruits of your labor through points, and just enjoy yourself with it, because it makes more sense from getting it back in cash, right? Because it's 2.3%. 5 nights, spent less than $1,000. We got like the breakfast package, and what we did, because basically in the Maldives, like if you get a beer or cocktail, it's ridiculous. It's like all over $10.
Yeah, it's very expensive. But then if you think about it, they have to get everything boated in from the nearest place to Sri Lanka, which is like 600 miles away. So you can see why it's expensive. It's not just they're not just ripping tourists off for the sake of ripping them off. Yeah,
so we were sort of doing like intermittent fasting, but we're doing the breakfast as the meal. So we're like we had the breakfast included. So basically eat our calories for the day in breakfast, and then just like maybe get a pizza at night, which would be so expensive, but that's like the best way to do it. So you can get like bed and breakfast, really nice Maldives hotel, eat all your food at breakfast, and then you basically have a very cheap trip to the Maldives.
Yeah.
If you can get cheap flights to the Maldives.
Yeah, definitely.
So highly recommend doing that. So like most people's dreams is go to the Maldives, and you can just do it on points basically, and it's just you don't even notice it because it comes out your points balance. Really
it's the same. We did something very similar. We're going to New York. We're booking with the Hilton. We've got the Midtown Hotel, which is part of the Hilton group. So most places in the world, most of the big chains have hotels there, which you wouldn't necessarily realize that you can book through with the points. Now, if you're obviously booking a smaller hotel, you won't be able to get points. For example, we went to Cornwall. Obviously, there was no hotel chains in Cornwall. They were all just kind of like independent hotels. There might have been a couple of Hiltons, but they weren't very good ones. So we just converted the cash as cash and paid for the hotels because I wanted to spend the money on traveling. But when we're going to New York, we've converted our Avios points for the flights and we've converted our Amex points to Hilton points. So we're staying in the Hilton again. It's like
there's a slight caveat because you don't just have the Amex Gold, you also have the BA Amex, right?
Yeah, I have two cards. Yeah, so I have the BA points for collecting air miles, and I also have the Amex Gold card, which collects Amex points, which I can convert to Avios points, but you collect more Avios points through the BA Avios card, okay? Because you can only have Avios points, but you get a better rate. Whereas Amex points, you can convert them, but the rate isn't as good as just getting the Avios points. Same for most things. I believe there was a Hilton one as well. That's gone. Yes, and we got a companion voucher as well. So with the BA one, every year you get one companion voucher. So basically, wherever you book, the person can fly with you for free.
Yeah. So that my girlfriend's always saying like, don't fly first class back from Bangkok because I'm going separately. And I was like, I just fly first class. It's like, no, don't do that. Like, that's like another 4 or 5 nights in the Maldives, and like her favorite place is the Maldives, obviously. So it's just like, okay, now it's a sort of thing where I can it's either get a luxury hotel or be selfish and fly on my own, because obviously you can't get the companion voucher, right, with Amex Gold, as far as I'm aware.
No.
If anyone knows a trick, then let me know, because that'd be a little nice saver. But I don't like the thought of being able to spend 2 worths of points. I'd rather just both fly economy or get premium economy or something like that with cash, and then just spend all the points on luxury hotels. So maybe it's a trick having a BA personal one as well.
Yeah, so we just have both. We put all our personal expenditure on the BA one. I mean, the BA one, we've saved these points since pre-COVID, so it's been quite a while to save the points up because obviously we don't put as much spending on the personal one as we do on the business one. Business one, I accumulated points pretty quickly, so these Amex points are kind of like 3 or 4 months worth that's paid for the hotel, but the flights is like 2 years worth of points that saved up. But it's with just be a point with the flights. Most flights you still have to pay the fuel as cash, and you also have to pay all the taxes as cash. So they won't be free flights. They'll just be very much reduced. Like our flights were £400, which is basically the fuel cost and the taxes. But the actual flight itself, what they charge you for the seat, is free.
Yeah, I don't think I actually got a bill for the taxes for the Maldives place. I need to check on that, but I'm pretty sure it's just free. So the only thing actually that cost was because it's not you probably had this as well, but the price of the flight from the Maldives airport to the hotel is really, really expensive. So that's the one thing to watch out for. But apart from that, it's all paid for.
Yeah, I think we flew. We went to the Maldives a few years ago. We didn't have points back then. This was a few years ago. We paid with cash, but we got the seaplane out and then the boat back. So. I wish I'd used some points now on it. Would have been a good idea, but
yeah, I think like our next trip might be. I think they have a ransom blue in the Dominican Republic. I think.
Yeah.
So we're probably gonna look at that just because the 3-to-1 ratio is so good. So you go like slightly off season, you can probably get a really nice room, get some cheap flights, and then you're it's paid for, right? So. Yeah, if you have Amex points and you have, a couple of 100,000 points, wherever, take a look at the Maldives or Dominican Republic or New York.
Yeah. But the thing is, even if you've not, because obviously we're quite big sellers, we get a lot of points because we spend a lot of money. I'm putting sort of 20, 30 grand a month on my card. You're probably doing the same. Even if you're not at that level, yes, perhaps you're probably not going to get it for free, but you're probably getting a significant discount, and it would perhaps make a $5,000 trip to the Maldives sort of like 1,000 or 2,000. It brings it into affordability, doesn't it? What you would spend on 2 weeks in Spain is now the same price as what you can pay for the Maldives. So, perhaps not everyone is going to get free trips to the Maldives, but you're certainly probably going to get a good discount off it. So it's well worth accumulating these points and using them for travel and things like that. Because I know somebody asked me in the comments last night, about like what's the best use of points, and I know a lot of people say to use gift cards because you can get extra percentage off, but my mind is there's no point getting a gift card to spend at, say, John Lewis if there's nothing you actually want from John Lewis. If you want to travel, then I would rather get 80% of the value and pay a bit of tax on it and have it for what I want rather than just getting a gift card because I'm getting 2% extra.
Yeah, I mean, there's definite tax benefits, right? And being able to get more cashback percentage points, right? Like if you can get 2-3% cashback, then just go for it, right? And I think we all got to enjoy ourselves. So you might as well enjoy yourselves with points that are there for you to spend, right? Because you're not going to be able to. Well, you might be able to, but I don't know if people convert their capital on tap to Avios. That's something I don't do actually. With capital on tap, I've always just put that to cash or balance and paid off my balance statement. But I know people sometimes use capital on tap as well, and they convert that to Avios, and they have both their capital on tap and their American Express, and they just go crazy on the holidays. I don't know if anyone does that in the comments or what they do with capital on tap, but there was a nice buffer, wasn't it, last month, 1.37% on capital on tap. So that was quite nice, a nice little bonus. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, just all these free rewards, you're a bit mad if you miss them, really, to be honest. Of course, we use credit responsibly, but it's just a nice little thing to have. It's a nice bonus of being in business. Business is hard work, and it's one of the few things that you can actually get that's nice to enjoy yourself, and it gives you opportunities to be able to travel for very low cost because you're buying stock for your business that you wouldn't ordinarily get in any other job. Most people, as an individual, are never going to be able to spend enough money to get a decent amount of points. Even if you spend sort of £800, £1,000 a month, you're not going to get anywhere near enough points as you are spending 30, 40, maybe even 50 grand a month on stock. So it's a really good way to be able to use the benefits and travel.
Yeah, it definitely felt like really self-fulfilling, just sort of being able to use it. I don't know what it was, but just it's a nice feeling, sort of being in the Maldives. I know you spent cash, but just knowing I didn't spend $6,000 on the trip and like thinking, it's nice. It's not really costing me any money. It was a really good, it was a really good feeling.
It makes the trip that bit better, doesn't it? It does make it that bit better.
Yeah, it does.
When it's nearly free or very little money. Our American trip is okay. We're going to need money when we're there, but we've actually only spent £400. In actual money terms, the rest of it's all paid for by points.
Yeah, and if you're in New York, right, it depends where you're on. Like if you go for the fine dining, but there's also a food scene which is quite cheap, right? Where you can, well, not cheap, but you can get like obviously pizzas and pies and stuff like that, which they're sort of renowned for, and bagels, and that's not too bad. But depends what you do in New York, right? You could probably spend an absolute fucking fortune. Sorry, my language.
No, I can guarantee you can spend a fortune. Yeah. So we got a couple of comments. So we got people saying someone says genius doing the intermittent fasting with breakfast as your main meal. Then we do something very similar. We go away. We always book half board and just have like 2 big meals rather than having like full all inclusive. I think it's the best way to go. Someone says that they've got capital on tap and they gift their cards to homeless charities, which is very kind. But of course, another good way you can. If you want to give to charity, you can use your reward points as a gift to charity. So someone, Aidan said, what's the best way to get Amex points? So the best way is to spend on American Express, unless you know of any other way.
Yeah, if you have the Amex Business Gold, I believe they still have it. But I believe every quarter, I think you got to spend X amount. And you get an extra, I think, 10,000 or 20,000 points.
I think if you spend 20,000 a quarter, you get an extra 10,000 points for free.
Yeah. So having the gold card is really nice. So some people are, should I jump to the platinum and get, airport lounges, insurance, and all that sort of thing, and some really other cool benefits actually with platinum. There's a dining benefit. I don't know if anyone knows this who has a platinum, but there's a dining benefit where it's like free vouchers. So when you go to New York and you have the platinum, you can dine for free, I believe. It's like up to $150, but that's interesting to look at. But yeah, the reason to actually have the Amex Gold first is that you get this extra 10,000 points. 10,000 points every for
every quarter. Yeah, and there's also a nice sign-up bonus as well when you do sign up. I think you get 30,000 when you sign up initially. Or I think you
40,000
have to, 40,000, but you have to spend, is it 3,000 in the first month or first 3 months? There's a certain spend limit. It's quite low, but when you do that, I think it's 3,000 in the first 3 months, and then you get this 30 or 40,000, 40,000 at the moment bonus points, which is a lot of points, really. You know, it's about £400 worth of points just for signing up. So.
We don't really want to talk too much about credit because it's obviously do your own risk, speak to the right people about it. But American Express has a really good thing about American Express is the purchasing power. They immediately give you really good purchasing power. So if you're smart and you know your business inside out, you can spend a lot of money, and then by the time you sold that stock, you can pay it off most of the time. But again, take that advice lightly, to go speak to them, make sure you're in the right situation.
Yeah, of course. You've got to remember, it's only a benefit if you're not paying interest. If you end up going into debt, paying interest, then it's definitely not a benefit because the interest rate's like 25-30%, so it's not sensible. So just make sure that if you are getting these cards, you do manage your money properly, and you've got all the funds available to pay your bill off at the end of the month. Otherwise, you will end up in debt. So just a little bit of a disclaimer there, of course. I've got another comment here from Aiden. He says, "What's your thoughts on big retailers jumping on Amazon?" I've seen Morrison's and quite a few products on there as well. Have you seen that much? Is that something that's affected your business?
Amazon as a third-party seller, or like the Amazon sort of section where it's like, there's a Morrison section on Amazon where you can look through, and they're basically like, you can add it all to the basket like it's normal shopping, like as if you shop from Morrison's actual Morrisons.com. So I've never actually seen Morrison's as a third-party seller. It's just been their own portal,
their own products.
Yeah, their own products, right? What they can do is it's usually like a spend 15. You got to spend £15, right? I think with Morrison's. So it's a little bit different, and it hasn't seemed to have affected me as a grocery seller. So I haven't really been affected. I haven't seen too many other big retailers. Occasionally I see a retailer jump on and they'll crash the price. I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah. So some of them don't know what they're doing. I saw this on a listing where I think I've got like 2 listings on it, and I don't do much of it every month. And the buy box is around $8.99, and then the brand came on and sold it at $6.99. I was like, I've got like 10 in stock. Like, so I just crash the price and just, what do you do in this? That's another sort of actually mind thing. Like, if the brand comes in to the same listing, you bought it from a wholesaler, so they can't put like an IP claim really because you bought it from a distributor that is authorized. They come and crash the price. Do you then just be a dick and then crash that price against them and say, actually, you know what, I'm just gonna beat you I'm gonna penny pinch against you and just lower it, or do you just sort of wait it out? I don't know. But I've seen that a few times.
I think this is a very interesting question actually, and one thing I want to say to people is that a lot of people in the group, in the community, perhaps have only really been on Amazon for 2 years, maybe 3 years at a push. You've not seen a normal trading cycle because of COVID, and you've had a lot of upside. There's been a lot of lockdowns. There's been a lot of abnormal trading, supply issues, people afraid to go out, encouraging online sales. This, as a result, has led to some very abnormal pricing. Now, a lot of people I know are moaning about price tanking at the moment. Disappointed by price tanking. This is a very normal part of the business cycle. And when you've been in the game a few years, August is always a very slow and difficult month. It's just the way it is. It's a very good time to buy stock. You should be buying stuff, sitting on it, holding it to Christmas, because Christmas is only 2-3 months away. But from a selling point of view, it's a very slow month. 2020, 2021 has probably been a buoyant month because of supply issues and lockdowns, which is why a lot of people have had. I kind of find this a bit new and a bit out of the blue, and they're struggling with it. It's very normal. Come October, these prices will go up and up and up all the way until January, and then they'll fall off a cliff again. You're just back into the normal cycle. So from my mind, I always ride out the cycles, unless. If you say a retailer's come in, for example, with this particular product, if they've got 6,000 and I've got 10, I'm not going to restock it. I'd probably dump it because there's no point holding on to it, because by the time I've held on to it, it's not worth the storage. Now, if I had 600 and they had 6,000, that's a different ball game, and I'd probably hold that stock until they either sold out or increase the price, or because particularly around Christmas, even the big retailers can't keep stock. Come January time, Amazon is out of stock on a lot of products, and there's a lot of opportunity there where you can fulfill gaps that Amazon can't fulfill because it's run out of stock. All the suppliers shut down over Christmas, and they won't be able to get stock until sort of mid-January. So there's a nice opportunity there, but from a price tanking point of view, this is a very normal time of year to see price tanking.
Yeah, I'm never really that worried unless they have a direct partnership with Amazon. So, for instance, when Morrison's had a direct partnership with Amazon, where they have an unfair advantage over other competition, that's when I get a little bit worried because they have an unfair advantage. That's what I don't like. However, if they come in as a third-party seller, unless there's some sort of deal they have with Amazon, I doubt it, and they probably don't. They're usually buying from the same place as you would if you're in wholesale and buying from the right channels, and you're big in the game, right? Or not big in the game, or you're going into wholesale. You're most likely sometimes buying from the same channels as them. So the prices, even though they probably buy in big quantities, but it's only so low that those wholesalers can sell it at. So like their pricing could be sort of 15-20p more different to them. And the caveat to that is they probably have higher costs than you because they have a massive staff role.
Yeah.
So it's never really that much of a worry, really. If the brand comes on, that's always really annoying. The things that do is really annoying if the brand decides to start doing 1p instead of 3p. That's the biggest pain. It's like, you're working with a brand and they suddenly decide, okay, by the way, we've completely moved to selling straight to Amazon. We're no longer selling to third parties. That's the concern. But seeing a big retailer on, I don't really know. How did Disney do? What's happened to them? Is that what's going on with Disney now?
I don't know. Maybe Nat can answer. Nat's quite into Disney, but I don't see much from them. And a lot of people were worried that Disney was going to kill the sales of Disney products, but it's not something I've seen.
No, it's not something I've seen either. So I mean, to be honest, in Amazon UK now, if you haven't been going wide rather than deep, unless you're something like Matt, where it's very unique products, you're a different model to the actual online arbitrage, really, and wholesale. A little bit of a slight caveat to model, but if you're in general sort of OA or wholesale, and in the Amazon UK market, you should absolutely be going wide, and you should have been doing that for the last sort of 2 years, ever since the sort of buy box suppression came in, ever since the minimum order quantity came in, and now especially HFSS is coming in. Go wide. So even if someone comes in, it doesn't matter. And if a retailer comes in as a third party, again, what are they going to do? I've never seen it where they come in and actually be a competitor. I don't think they are. I can't think of one example. And then maybe Sports Direct, but are they actually? I know Sports Direct on Amazon, but are they actually a competitor? Are they competing with third-party sellers? Is Sports Direct deal still viable if you buy Nike footballs from them? Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's really that much of a worry. Really,
no.
To answer the question.
No, I don't think it's much of a worry. And you've got to also consider why these retailers are lowering the price. One thing is if it's a range change, this time of year is a very, very popular time for range changes. The Nike Football 2 is coming out, and the retailer's got surplus of Nike Football 1. They're going to dump it because they don't want it. They want to make space for the new one in, and therefore holding it is the best thing to do, because once they've sold their stock, that's it. It's gone. There's no more coming in.
Yeah, I don't think Nike will ever be on Amazon anyway. But that's usually the case, I guess. But then again, they have to set up on Amazon and get all their channels right, send all to FBA and stuff like that. I can't think of an example. Can anyone put in the comments an example where big retailers came in and really destroyed a listing? Does anyone want an example of this? The only person I know of is Amazon. The only one that destroys listings is Amazon. Because the problem for Amazon, I guess, is Amazon make money off everybody. Whether you make money or not, they make money, so they don't care. It's definitely Amazon retail. It's the only one I can think of, and I think I've always taught avoid Amazon. Again, my strategy: the wholesale, groceries, common goods like household beauty and stuff like that. Always avoid Amazon. because it's most of the time probably a wholesaler selling to Amazon and Amazon selling it on. I can't think of it. I don't know why, but I can't think of one example where there's a big retailer who's just like completely dominating the third party scene.
No. Because I don't think they could. I just don't think they could be viable enough. Because there's the thing about the small sellers is you're quite nimble. You're always looking for deals. You're probably going to be able to pick up small deals from various distributors, clearance houses, whatever. And they're not going to be able to source enough volume at that price point because it just isn't possible. So they're never going to be able to be the lowest all the time on everything.
If they send 1,000 in, they're paying big storage fees as well, aren't they?
Yeah, so, exactly.
I think
I think people have to realize that these retailers have, like you say, have big overheads, and that's why they have to clear products because they have bills to pay. Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, it's annoying. I guess the annoying thing is if like your wholesaler starts dealing with Amazon, with 1P. That's the annoying things. The actual third party space, I have never really seen it as a problem. It's just Amazon retail always been that problem. As someone says, Amazon take the piss sometimes with their pricing strategy. They're loss makers and all that stuff. They just want to get rid of stock and all sorts, right? Yeah, price fixing.
Yeah, but Amazon doesn't price fix except when it price fixes. The price fix is down. I know. That's one of the things I think is very frustrating is the buy box suppression when there is no one else in the buy box, and at the end of the day, it's just because Amazon sold it for £12 doesn't mean that it should only be sold for £12. It's one of my biggest frustrations of selling on Amazon.
Speaking back to Morrison's, actually, I had a listing that was suppressed, and the price was 99p. It said the price was too high, and it was 99p. So basically, Morrison's came on at 35p. It was one of those small and light products that was selling for like 149, 199. And then they suppressed the listing. I went down to 99p, and they're still suppressing it. I'm just like, come on, that's just not cool. That's not cool.
It's not cool because at the end of the day, for me, it's annoying because it's reducing consumer trust and availability for consumers. Because when there is no buy box, it's actually very hard to see there's actually any active offers. And just because my price, we're having the same problem with another listing where Amazon was selling it at £12. It's worth £15, £16 all day long. But because they sold it for £12, they're now not on the list and they've sold out. They can't get the stock. It's an end of line product. But they then won't give us the buy box unless we sell it at £12. And it's so frustrating. And we've tried creeping the price up, lowering the price. But unless we're selling it at £12, we just can't get that buy box. And actually, they're reducing consumer confidence and consumer availability because the new version of that product is retailing at $19.99. So mine is still a significant discount at £15.
Yeah. I guess what you can do is just potentially create another listing, create a 2-pack, 3-pack, 6-pack, eBay, Shopify, right? Is this like one of the deep listings for you, or that you have a lot of stock of?
We have about 3,000 units. It's quite a deep listing. It's quite a big listing.
Damn it! Okay, that's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot for. We don't normally go that deep on this, but it was a buyout deal on a particular product, and we bought the whole lot. And at the time, it was $15.99, and we paid £5 for it. We're like happy days, but then Amazon lowered the price to £12, and the most we can now sell it for is £12 without getting buy box suppression. And if we don't sell it at £12, we just don't get any sales on it.
Is it viable on eBay or Shopify?
It's on both platforms, but it's Amazon was where we were going to move the volume. So I think we're going to probably end up pulling it back and bundling it, I think, and doing a 2-pack because the distribution costs will be lower.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we sometimes have that. Fortunately for me, it's like with grocery, you can sometimes create like a case back listing. So you sell like the product as the case back, which is like, if you bought like 120, you can then suddenly create a 24-pack listing on eBay and sell that pretty quickly, right? At like break even. So that's one of the benefits actually, and just like some of the good things about your warehouse, right? Is you have that flexibility where something's going out of date in a few months. Okay, cool. I'm going to put my clearance section on Shopify, and then I'm going to put I'm going to create a 24-pack on eBay and sell at cost, and then it will go. There's another question.
Yeah.
If you want, I don't want to read it out.
Yeah, go on.
I think I know. So Aidan says, when Amazon come into my listing, I just push them to the lowest price and make the sale out, and I go back up while they're out of stock. Yeah, so there's a strategy that a lot of people use, Aidan, even when they're in stock, and it's called like the Amazon yo-yo repricing strategy. I think if you just Google Amazon yo-yo repricing, you might see it. And that's just a repricing strategy where you go up and down, up and down, up and down really quickly. So you go meet the price and go up again, and meet the price and go up again. And then sometimes eventually the price will go up. You have some people who will say that this makes no difference, and it's I don't want to go into that debate, but also it's the algorithmic versus like, no, they care about the buy box, that's it. But a lot of people in the US say that the yo-yo strategy is what you should do against Amazon. So you quickly go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Channel Max has a setting for it. It's like one of the default settings. And Channel Max is actually one of the probably most underrated software on the market that no one ever talks about. But if you ever want a repricer, check out Channel Max. It's literally the most underrated ones. You can connect your AWS keys, and it can do proper real-time repricing, and FTP access, and the most customization that I think of any, and it's pretty cheap. I'm not an affiliate. I just want to put it out there that there's some software like that will help you with that. The yo-yo tactic. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, tactic. There you go. That's a top tip from Jonny there. No, I mean I knew about it, but it's not something, because a lot of our listings are end of line, so we don't really have a lot of competition on our listings. It's more, a lot of our product is more difficulties driving traffic to the listing, I suppose, rather than actually the pricing point of view. So, but this is a particular example where we are getting, I think we are employing the yo-yo strategy. So we're trying to get it up a bit. We've managed to get it up to $12.99, but we can't get it past $12.99. Seemingly, it just keeps going out of buy box at anything above £30.
Try 10%. So if what they want is £12, if you put it at $12.80, they might give that discount, right? They might actually wait. That's really bad maths, by the way. £12. So if you list that at £13.20, they might give an automatic discount. They usually do that, actually, where they give you the rest of the discount.
Yeah, they do. They are doing that. They're giving an Amazon provided discount down to £12 at $12.99.
Oh, you can bump that up to, I think, you probably don't want to jinx it, but if you try like $13.20, I think it gives that discount as well.
We'll play around with it. See what we can do. Watch this space. I'll let you know if we get up to 13.20. But I think we'll leave it there for today. I know I've had a major software headache today, so I've got to go back and sort that out. And I know you need to go and do things as well. So thank you very, very much for joining me today, discussing the MX points. I know a lot of people will be interested in that as well. If anyone's got any final comments, just drop them in the comments. But Jonny will be around a lot more. I don't want to say anything too much too soon, but you'll be seeing a lot more of Jonny in the group, hopefully. So and obviously, as you know, Jonny's a massive seller, a lot of contribution, a lot of expertise, particularly on the software side. You know, he's incredible on that. So definitely some really great things coming up for us and the group as well. So thanks for joining me today. And cheers, Natalie will be back next week, I hope. Hopefully she's all well. And it'll probably be me and Natalie next week.
Yeah, we didn't cover Shopify, which is that in the title? Shopify.
Is that in the title, is it? Ooh.
I don't know. Is it? Ooh. Okay. But I'm not sure, but I think we were supposed to cover Shopify and eBay or something. But we'll do it another time. We'll do another one. We'll do a special one on Shopify. I think Shopify is something, I think the problem with Shopify is you could talk about 3 hours about Shopify and eBay. So definitely something that we can look at. Maybe we could get some more training put together, or free training or something on the Shopify side. I know people were interested in that, and we could definitely get something like that put together. Natalie says stop spilling secrets. Just some sneak previews, Natalie. Just some sneak previews. Nothing too much. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me tonight. Oh, you've gone again. So it's definitely time for bed where you are. Cheers, man. No, it's a pleasure. Always like talking Amazon. could do it all night. It's gone pretty quick.
I know you can, can't you? And I love a good meet up and stuff. And hopefully, actually, we're not discussed this yet, but hopefully we're going to get something sorted for the end of the year as well, and meet up in some form. It's not decided, TBD, where we can go and things. So I know we've not had many meetups because of COVID and things. So hopefully we can have a bit of a social with the group somewhere in the country. That'd be really good to get to meet you guys, because I know we did one at the start in March, which is really well attended, the White Label Expo. So hopefully we can have a bit of a meal and a meet up and a chat. It'd be really good, and maybe a night out as well.
Yeah, I think there's expos going on in September, so that's always a good little thing. Maybe something like that.
I know the Autumn Fair's on, is that September, October time in Birmingham. So I'm not sure if anyone's planning on attending that. And that's good for kind of the wholesale kind of side as well. A lot of wholesale suppliers there. But yeah, I think the expo scene's kind of normalizing again now, because I know the White Label Expo was a little bit of a disappointment because there wasn't many people turned up in terms of exhibitors. They kind of obviously booked years ago because it was already delayed from 2020. It was meant to be in 2020 and it got pushed obviously back to 2021 sorry, 2022 even because of COVID. So I think a lot of people had kind of booked years ago and then kind of just never turned up. So it wasn't the best show, but I know the expo scene is getting back online now. So there'll be some good expos, I think.
I mean, it's repeated a million times, but highly recommended. Like I've got really good suppliers from expos. So, but that's repeated everywhere, right? Everyone goes on about it. That's like the number one wholesale thing. Go to expos. But yeah, it's great. Yeah,
and that's the thing. It's the relationships, isn't it? I know we keep banging on about it, but yeah, you just OA. The problem with OA is you don't build the relationships, and that's where you need to. That's the differentiator, I think, between the success in wholesale and retail arbitrage and all the other kind of things. Is it's the relationships with these suppliers and meeting people, and and that's where you'll have really. That's where you kind of take it from being good to great. It's when you have a good relationship with your supplier.
Yeah, our main supplier, like a few weeks ago, sold a pallet of us at a loss. So they held the old prices, and even though they kind of sacrifice a loss just because like we've been really good with them. So, we've got a pallet of stock that will be making really good margin on, because everyone else has to bump their price up, and that's just it's just all it really is time. And at the end of the day, it's consistency and time, placing consistent orders and talking to them. We'll just leave it there, right? So I was just talking.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, we can do an hour on wholesale. We can do an hour on eBay, Shopify. So we'll be back and we'll discuss some more Shopify and eBay as well. So thanks for joining us today, and thanks for joining me as well, Jonny, and jumping in at the last minute as well. So it's really appreciated. And we'll see you all next week.
Cheers, guys. Cheers. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.